Strick and Motyl, talking toys. This is our podcast, we are making noise. So gather round, all you girls and boys. We're Strick and Motyl, we are talking toys.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Toys Talk Guys podcast. I'm Strick.
And I'm Motyl.
We're here to bring you everything happening in the world of toys. We're talking action figures, video games, and anything else that catches our eye. On today's podcast, we've got some quick mentions to go through from the news section, and then our discussion topics. We've got some Lego, some Playmates TMNT making the cast, some toy investing. We're going to be talking some toy investing, and then little TIKES, the cozy Coupe, making the list. Motyl, how we doing, my friend?
Doing good, man. And you know, episode 75, that's no small feat. That's nothing to scrape your knee on here.
Well put. Nothing to scrape your knee on. I like that.
Yeah. We're
getting there, man. Like, yeah, we're almost to 100. 25 more of these boys to go. It's about like 2 years worth of work.
Yeah.
And we'll be there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, we're past 2 years. It's so, I feel like we've been doing this for forever. But anyway, I am really digging tonight's episode. We've got a lot of great topics. How are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Getting over a little bit of the sickness. I think we both are.
Always.
So I'm glad we're getting a chance to talk to each other.
Always, man. I'm just constantly on the mend or on the decline. That is just life now.
Mm-hmm. And the cycle, and the sick cycle. It's a good time. All right, we got a little housekeeping to get out of the way, and then let's get to our news section. So if we want to ask you to write a review, share with a friend. So whatever podcast app you listen in, please write a review, share the cast with your friend. You could send us an email with a question or just a collection update, anything you want us to talk about or anything you want to share. You can send that to toytalkguys@gmail.com. You can donate to our show following the description in the podcast here. And then always check out our YouTube channel, Toy Talk Guys. We're starting to post a video cast there. Some Lego investing stuff, some Motyl Selects. Those two channels, you can check those out as well. So that's housekeeping out of the way. Just sweep it, man. Sweep it so nicely under the rug.
You could eat off it.
Oh my gosh, it's so clean. Robot vacuums for the win. There we go. All right, let's get into this news section. We're kicking it off here with some Lego news, dude. Mm-hmm. You ready for this?
I love it.
Dude, Lego is just dropping stuff. They're just like, you want this, you want that? Here you go. Everything you could have ever imagined. Here it is. What I wanted to talk about is this new Star Wars set. 75396 Desert Skiff and Sarlacc pit, dude. Feast your eyes on this boy. Mm-hmm. You seeing it? You seeing this?
Yeah.
Venture a guess on what this costs. That's really the topic here. How much do you think that boy costs?
I would say $50 set. $50 to $60 set.
$50 to $60, and like I feel like you're maybe putting a little like price of plastic in there. So what you're getting here before we get to the price is a little desert skiff, not too big, couple minifigures, maybe like 5 minifigures that were in the scene, and then you get actually that 25th anniversary. You get that Nien. I can't say his name. Nunb. How do you know how to say his name?
I think you chew on the I a little bit.
Nunb. So yeah. So you get him. He's never been made in minifig form. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool draw to the set. This thing is $80, dude.
Oh
yeah. $80.
Wow.
And your reaction is pretty much the reaction I've seen on Reddit and everywhere else I've seen this thing posted. People are like, "Oh my god, like that is just unaffordable."
Wow.
Everything's getting more expensive, but this one just feels like a big outlier in terms of expense. I owned a similar set that was probably like $30 not too long ago, maybe like 5-6 years ago. I bought that set, and now it's hitting 80. So.
Oh, you're telling me that they've done the Sarlacc pit before?
They've done it 2 times, like almost the same exact set where you get the skiff and then you get a Sarlacc pit. And they added a lot of bricks to that Sarlacc pit, that's for sure, but not $80 worth.
I know these are quick mentions, but in terms of what you collect, when you see stuff from the original trilogy, like, do you want to buy it more? Like, are you more attracted to it?
I don't know. Maybe not. Compared to some stuff, but they don't really release the stuff that I'd be super interested in. I'll get into it in collection updates, but I'm like knee jerk on this stuff. I'm like, God, that's expensive. Like, the set itself is expensive, which trickles down in the minifigs, which is what I want. And I'm just like, I don't know if I need like 1,000 versions of Han and Luke and Leia.
Dude, exactly. I look at that and I'm just like, man, you're missing like all those skiff guards that you could have had.
Yeah. You could. I mean, they've definitely released Skiff guards. I don't think you get a single one in this, which is crazy.
No.
You get Luke, Lando, Chewbacca, Han, and then you get Nien, Nunb, and Boba Fett. And the Boba Fett's not even that great. Like, people, I'm not scrutinizing every Boba Fett, but people are like, he doesn't even have this or the whatever. Like, he's not the perfect Boba Fett for an $80 set. So
Wow. Madness.
pretty disappointing across the board. And we'll get more into it in collection updates and like Star Wars and exactly what I'm doing. All right, man. Next up, I brought this one on. Get ready, NECA, dude.
Yeah, dude.
You got me looking at NECA.
Don't get it twisted, everybody. Strick put this one on.
Here we go. We're talking everyone's favorite NECA franchise, Murder, She Wrote. That's right, Murder, She Wrote. Jessica Fletcher. Dude, when I saw this, I was like, yes, this is great. I love that this is getting made. Somebody out there is a big Murder, She Wrote fan, aka my grandmother, when she was, God rest her soul, when she was alive, she loved Murder, She Wrote, and I watched a whole lot of it with her. But I just wanted to point out, not only are they releasing it's an Ultimates figure, right? An Ultimate figure or just an 8-inch?
You put this on here.
Yeah, I know, but I expected you to do all the research, so.
I didn't do much research. There's a clothed figure, yes, and then there is the Toonie Terrors figure.
There's a Toonie Terror, which I love the Toonie Terrors, and I'm just like, God, I'm so glad that they did her in Toonie Terror as well. Like, that's so fantastic. She got the double treatment. What's your relationship with Murder, She Wrote?
I have never watched a full episode of Murder, She Wrote, but I would love to tell you how I know what Murder, She Wrote is.
Okay.
It was actually a quick segment in Bride of Chucky. It showed on Tiffany's TV for 2 or 3 seconds. And I was like, what is that? Because I have a fascination with movies within movies. So I'm just like, what is she watching? So I looked it up and it's Murder, She Wrote. I'm like, oh, I've heard of that, but I've never actually watched it. And then I found out that apparently it was put in there because the first 3 Child's Play films has people that have guest starred on Murder, She Wrote. The first 3 films have guest stars from that show. I was like, oh, that's fascinating.
It's a cool connection.
But beyond that, yeah, I've never ever heard of any. I've never watched it ever. I have no idea what it's about. I just know that it's what's her name, Angela Lansbury, and she was the voice of Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay,
that's all I know. That's it.
I mean, I'm not going to add much. All I know is that every time I was at my mama and pop-up's house in the summertime, this would just be on constantly, just like on repeat. My mama would be watching it. That's all I remember about the show. I'd never followed the storylines or anything like that, but it was always just this memorable, connection I had with my mom, and just being there in the summertime when my parents were working.
Was there violence, or was this just some broad being nosy?
It was more the latter. It was a grown up. What's the Harriet the Spy, or one of those. Yeah. She's I think it's cold case or numerous murders. It'd be murders and graphic stuff, but I don't think you ever really. Sometimes I remember her kind of getting in a pickle. And she kind of had to fight her way out. And I'm like, I don't know if that old lady could really handle that person the way that she just did. I kind of remember some of that. But yeah, again, I'm dipping back into my 7-year-old mind. But I'm curious to watch it, actually. Now that I'm saying this, I might dip in and see what streaming service it's on.
Oh, man. I love it.
If it exists anymore.
Good picks.
Yeah, dude. There you go. Want to get some NECA on the cast. Couldn't forget him. That's right, man. We're gonna need a bigger cast because we're talking Jaws. Jaws Lego set official. And I posted this when it was more of a leak coming out, but it's been officially revealed at this point. I don't even think I need to ask you, dude, but Jaws. Tell me about Jaws. Tell me about your affinity for Jaws.
Yeah, this isn't the first time we've had him on the cast. We've definitely talked Jaws before. And I remember you telling us, teasing us about this. So I am super stoked. It looks good. I don't know if you're going to rip it to shreds or not, but I'm excited about about this. I'm excited to hear about it.
I'm not mad at it. So it's definitely a more expensive set. So this is in the Lego Ideas line. It was a fan made set, and then it turned into a regular Lego set. It's coming in at $160.
Oh my goodness.
So up there. I mean, we just talked about an $80 set. This is twice the price. You do get their boat that was in the film. You get the 3 main crew, and you can name them because I will absolutely botch their names. And then you get Jaws, the big shark. If that's, do they even call him Jaws? Like his name's not Jaws in the film, right?
No,
he's just the shark, right?
I think once the video game came out, that's when they like actually officially addressed him as Jaws.
Yeah, like there's old Jaws. So yeah, man, I like it. It's a pretty nice build. I really like the figs. Like I'm not a hardcore watcher of the film, but I feel like they nailed those guys like perfectly. I think the only thing that's a little lacking is Jaws himself. I feel like they could have just done more with molds there. Like just, they do so much in Jurassic World with like big dinosaur molds. I feel like they could have done something here especially for $160.
I feel like it's a little bit of an improvement though from like the initial thing that the original designer did.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm digging back in the memory banks, but from what I remember, we ripped on that shark pretty hard.
Yeah.
I think I remember, yeah. The scale seems to be there and everything else. Like, what are you thinking about the representation, like shark, boat, characters? You feel like it's all there?
No, definitely. I mean, I've got nothing to really complain about on this. I wanted to ask you, the little spears on the side of the boat, are those the original native spears?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, the native spears, as they're known. Yeah, they've been used and
Islanders, that's what it is.
The Islanders, yeah. I think they go back all the way to like early castle stuff. They were used in like castle sets.
Okay. I also wanted to ask you about Richard Dreyfuss's hairpiece.
Ooh, let's check that one out. Yeah, that looks that could be new. I mean, that very well could have appeared in another set. It just seems so specific to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least that coloring is probably brand new. Pretty neat, the platform style. They've done that with a couple series now where it's more intended for adults, and then you get like a nice little plaque that says something on the plaque. I feel like that's a nice little touch. I haven't gone deep on like stickers in this set. Like Ideas used to be the stickerless line, and that was always a good thing, but I feel like they're going away from that.
Oh man.
So a lot of this might be stickered, which is you know me. That's a big bummer. But otherwise, yeah, man. Like I feel like they did it.
You are going to need a bigger display case.
Yeah, man.
Because my goodness, that's commanding like a lot of height. I mean, I don't know how you display. Well, I do know how you display your Lego, but like the majority of Lego collectors, it's like I would imagine you guys have like shelves on top of shelves, where it's like this is gonna have to go into like a special place because it's like so tall.
It ain't small. That's true. It's definitely not the biggest stuff that they've released, but it's always funny when they put it in the like the press release and they have all their images of it, because it's like, oh, it's just a very clean home with like one barren spot on a dresser that nothing is occupying, and like, oh, here, this was where my set will go. It's like no one has that space in their home. Or if they do, it's like it needs to be there for like the mail or something, it shouldn't be eaten up by this humongous thing sitting there.
Right.
So I don't really like, I've seen a lot of people's collections. It's a lot of like, IKEA books shelves like me, and just bookcases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're putting stuff.
It's a shame because it's like it's almost a glutton of a space, because you have the really tall, I'm not a sailing person, but it's the mast, I guess, or the crow's nest, whatever you want to call it. So it's so spindly and small, but it's taking up so much space. Then you have all that negative space around it. I just feel like it eats up so much space. Like when you think about like how high it has to go.
Yeah, it would look nice next to the lighthouse that they released a couple of years ago.
Oh, okay,
so
all right.
People have that set, get a little theme going, and then the fishing store or fishing shop that they released, fishing cabin, I forget what it's called, but they got some fish motif stuff going on, ocean stuff.
Oh, see, yeah.
I guess one quick knock is like, I don't know if there's much playability here.
You don't think so?
I mean, it's meant to be just like on display, like it's set in there. I guess they give you the option of like pulling stuff out and having it on its own, but I don't know, maybe make it a little less expensive and have it be something that you could enjoy and just kind of knock around with your kids and be like, we're playing Jaws, like how fun.
Yeah, and then you make the shark eat Quint. Spoilers Sorry, everybody.
Oh yeah, spoilers.
You've had a lot of time to watch this movie, but spoilers, Quint does get eaten. I feel like that's the whole playability in this set. That's what everybody's probably going to be doing.
Yeah.
As soon as everybody's wives go to bed and they're alone, they can make the shark eat Quint.
And that'll be that. Nice, man. Anything else to say about Jaws or this set?
This movie, like, definitely terrified me as a young man.
Oh, yeah.
Because it kind of, like, Spielberg has a way of doing things where it's like, he makes this feel like this big, like, exciting adventure, but at its core, it's like this brutal horror movie. I mean, if you watch the movie, it's like, oh yeah, it's this huge adventure, these three guys, and they're taking on a shark, but then you get to the gory bits, and you're like, oh gosh, oh my gosh. But anyway, yeah, movie terrified me, and if that didn't terrify me enough, as a little kid, I was granted the experience of going on the Universal ride at Universal Orlando, and I was so scared. My parents could barely get me on the ride. They almost like forced me on the ride. I was so terrified. And then if you like watch videos on YouTube of that ride now, I mean, it's so corny and it's such a joke. But as a kid, it was just like terrifying me. I'm just like, why are we going on this? Like, Jaws is in the water. Why would we go on this ride?
He's gonna get us. I don't like, this was always on, and it was one of those movies where I caught bits and pieces. I don't know if I ever sat through the entire movie start to finish, but I like the ones that stick out to me are all the scenes where like Jaws is under the water. And it's just like the people swimming above. And that still just haunts me whenever I'm in the water. Even today, I'm just like, there's something swimming under me. Like, Jaws is just under me. He's going to get me. Like, not to that level, but it's just like, that image always pops in my brain whenever I'm just like swimming out in the water. I'm just like, I don't want to be out here right now. I'm just going to... Dude. Something's going to be getting me.
The turtles are assaulting the Technodrome. Inside are the Foot Clan's weapon storage chamber, Krang's laboratory, and Shredder's master control room. Huh? Turtles? Oh, they've been spotted. Now they'll have to watch out for the I Spy radar, that hidden news pit, the spike back door. Turtle soup time. Oh no, an ooze scanner, a brain scrambler, and mutant manacles. Can Leonardo rescue them? Sure hope so.
Playset, figures, and ooze, each sold separately from Playmates.
Hide your pizza, man. Hide the za. Because we be talking them turtles, them turts.
The turdies, yeah.
Playmates, man, making this cast again. They're just chugging along. They're just like, you know what? We have a formula. We know what sells, and we're just gonna give you exactly what we gave you back in the 80s and the 90s.
The formula is just repeat.
Rinse, repeat, here you go. If you haven't heard, Playmates, they are doing a whole lot of reissues on their TMNT lines. And they have now announced that they are redoing the classic Technodrome playset. Yeah, it was a very popular playset back in the day. The Technodrome, for those of you, and I am no Turtles expert, I'd like to make that very clear. I liked Turtles growing up, but I was no expert. But the Technodrome was like the villain's like headquarters. It was the thing that Krang created in Dimension X. That's where all like the villains like Shredder and Bebop and Rocksteady, that's where they all hang out. They are bringing it back.
Nice.
$80. It's an Amazon exclusive. And the big thing here, from what I understand, it is actually scaled down slightly from the original. So Playmates isn't just like busting out the original molds and then going from there. They are modifying stuff and scaling it down, and from what I understand, it's due to price, or as anybody could imagine, it's probably due to price. And I don't think that's a bad thing. We were already talking about display room, and it's like, yeah, if you can scale stuff down this day and age, I think go for it. I know a lot of people are kind of up in arms about it. They're just like, why wouldn't you just re-release the exact same thing? Because the vintage version, it's kind of like hard to find some parts, or it's I don't know if it's hard, but it's like expensive for some of these parts to complete a Technodrome. And if you want to buy a complete Technodrome, it's going to run you several hundreds of dollars. So I can appreciate that they scaled it down and it's a little smaller. So what was your initial take when I put this on?
I didn't have a lot of experience with like turtle stuff per se. I did have a friend that was like very into turtles, and I think he had the Technodrome because he had like everything. He had like so much stuff. But I was curious, like, because I saw this and like we've talked about re-releases before, and mainly about like what it does as like not an investor, but just like a long-term collector. And I feel like it does cheapen it a bit when you're like, man, I have this like nice vintage piece. I like spent all this time. I like really have it perfect, and then they just go and they release the exact same thing, and now you can't even tell them apart. Like it's hard to tell them apart. So I kind of like the scale down factor to it, or just that it's different and like in some way from the original. Like it, and it's so close that it's like it might as well be like you can still as an adult buy this and feel like it's $80. It's not crazy for like, you know, plastic and the price that we just talked about, like an $80 cheapo Lego set. Yeah, so I'm a fan of this stuff. Like I think this is the formula. They're doing it right, and it seems like you feel that way too.
Yeah, you hit a lot of good points. I will address the price. Yeah, I think $80 is extremely fair considering like what you're getting and what the scale of this is. Knowing like the cost of toys nowadays, where it's like sometimes you're paying $30 or $40 for just an action figure. So to have like a full-on play set, you know, for many people it's going to be like a display set to put on your shelf. So that's cool. I really appreciate that they've kept the cost down on that. And it's like for people that are like coming into Turtles as well, it's like, okay, well, you know, I have like a good base set of the Turtles. Oh yeah, hey, look, I was in the market for a Technodrome. I was even thinking about, you know, maybe starting to collect some pieces for one. And now it's like, man, an $80 option to just have the whole thing, and it's like brand new. Yeah, I mean, of course, why wouldn't you go that? Unless you're like a die hard fan that's like, no, it needs to be vintage, you know, and to each their own. But from what I've seen, it's kind of hard to piece that out, especially like I know a lot of like especially the outer doors, the plastic kind of browns or gets a little darker, like discolors pretty easy. So it's hard to like find ones that are like in really good tip-top shape. It's possible, but you're going to pay up for it. So I think this is cool. And like I said, I'm no huge turtle fanatic. I have always liked the Turtles. Power Rangers has always been like my number one because I grew up with Power Rangers, like, you know, from ground zero, and as did you. Not that you love them as much as I do, but we were ground zero for Power Rangers. Like that was like right in our age group where it's like I remember the first time I saw like the first episode, and then, you know, followed it for however long I followed it for. Turtles, it was like that was kind of already going on at the time, mm-hmm. But it's like I knew of it and I would like partake in it. I would see the cartoon when I could, and like I had friends with older brothers that had a bunch of the toys. One of my best buds, who you've met before, he actually had a Technodrome that I've got my hands on before. I'm just like, this is cool, but it's not something that I would ever be like, I need the Technodrome. It's like, you know, because I'm not that big of a fan of it. It's like, you know, Turtles had been going on for so long mm-hmm. before we were even just like interested in like pop culture stuff like this.
I was just going to come back to like the price is nice, and as a dad with like, you know, two boys that are growing up, I wasn't into Turtles, but I'm always looking for stuff where I'm like, oh yeah, I was so into this as a kid, and like, oh, it's not like they're still putting out like kiddie, like I feel this is almost in the kids zone in terms of price and what you're getting here. If a kid was very into it as much as like the parent was into it, it'd be like, okay, that's why we're buying this. Like that's the kind of stuff from like that's an easy buy, and I feel like they're just knocking that out of the park with this thing.
See, yes, I'm gonna give kudos to Playmates again, man. I feel like they're always just like they make these things so affordable because it is like bottom line, it's toys. It's not like some designer boutique figure where it's like, I need 96 points of articulation, you know, like it needs to have these perfect paint apps and this molded detail here. It's like, no, it's like these, you know, they're reissues, but it's like these are toys, you know, you could collect them, preserve them, display them, but also this could be played with by your kids easy. And the price even is there to, you know, back that up. And that is why I think, was it the last cast of the cast before, I am so stoked to have them make Power Ranger figures in next year. I cannot wait. Dude. I cannot wait to see what they do. That's going to be so tight.
I'm getting pumped for that too, just for you. Just for you. I'm just like, seeing how well they're doing with Turtles, it's like, oh, please, just like keep it rolling for the Power Rangers, man. Actually, funny enough, it's I was at my parents' house with my oldest son, and we were digging through some old boxes, and I came across you would love this, man. My Mighty Morphin DVD collection. I got it on DVD, dude. Yeah, man. I knew you'd love that. The box set. And he was like, "Ooh, what's that?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, dude, that's Power Rangers, man." I'm like, "We can watch this if you want." Like in a, what? He's not great. Like as soon as we watch something where somebody's hitting somebody else, that's immediately what he wants to do. So we're trying to curb as much of that stuff as possible. So, but we're like talking about starting video games and stuff soon. So it's like, we're gonna be getting into the Rangers here soon. Like I definitely want to watch some of those with him and get his take.
If he were to like stumble upon Turtles in some way, would that be like, oh hey, yeah, let's check out like a Turtles thing? Oh,
definitely, dude. We were just in Target today, and he like stumbled across Transformers, and he was like, "What's this?" Because it was like a dinosaur that transformed into. I was like, we can get that, man, and check it out. I was like, I don't know much about it, but like, let's go for it, just like trying to expose him to.
That's cool, man.
Whatever. Yeah, so if he actually showed a little bit of interest in Turtles, he's like, "Oh, Turtles, so and so likes them," and I'm like, "Yeah," I'm like, "You like these?" And he's like, "Nah." But he's getting some cool stuff.
That's cool. I tried so hard to like get more into Turtles back in the day. I was just like, because there were like definitely people that were just like, "No, Turtles are the best." I'm just like, they're cool. Like, and I had a bunch of action figures, but I think I said it on the cast before. I remember it's like the same thing with Power Rangers. I didn't want to collect 4 of the same looking Turtles because it's like each action figure, that's an ask of my parents. It's like, hey, can I get an action figure? And it's like, sometimes they would get it, sometimes they wouldn't. It was a special occasion. Yeah, sure. But it's like, would I really waste an ask on a turtle? And it's like, I don't really follow the cartoon like that well. But it's like, they're cool, but it's like, if you get one, you got to get all 4. And that's the same with Power Rangers. I was like, man, I don't want to like ask for all the Power Rangers because like that's gonna take me years. So it's like, why not buy the monsters, and be instantly satisfied? Yeah, with Turtles, I remember I would just end up like collecting like, because they've issued the Turtles in so many different ways, where it's like they're playing sports, they're wearing whatever costume. Okay, so I have like Raphael swinging a baseball bat. And then it's like, I've got Donnie in like, army
scuba gear.
Yeah, scuba gear. Yeah, no, that was Sewer Mike. I got Mike in like Super Surfing Mikey. And then it's like Donnie's wearing like army issues, and it's like, yeah, here are my turtles. You
get laughed right out of play yard.
Oh, exactly. But then I would look towards the monsters and like the mutants and stuff like that. So that's where it interested me. Some of this stuff that comes out that they're reissuing, I go to Walmart a whole lot just to look through the toys with my son, and I see this stuff and I'm like, man, should I be picking this up? Because they put so much reissued stuff out there. I'm like, this stuff looks really cool, but I do not pull the trigger. So I'm trying my best to hold off because I know I'm gonna be spending a lot of money once the Power Rangers come onto the scene.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to that. I want more of this on toy shelves. Like anytime I see something looking retro, I'm just like, ooh, what is that?
Right?
Like, I'm be looking at that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah, they know how to get you. But it's, oh my God, it just looks so much better on the shelf.
Yep.
Amiibo!
Alright guys, Link is in.
Well, my girl Peach is in.
I'm ready. DK's in, this is gonna be bananas.
I'm not in.
You're not in?
I don't have one of those.
I love you, you're my brother, but I don't know if you're ready.
It's his time. Were you ready when I took your favorite princess away from you? No, and
I actually didn't make it into the track team that day, so I was kind of upset. That was just a personal thing.
You didn't make the track. I made the track team.
Doesn't everybody make
It's a no-cut thing.
There is a cut.
I gotta get one.
Go get your mom and get one so you can get in.
All right, I gotta go. See you, Gina.
Bye, Jack.
All right, Motyl, get your pocketbook out. Get your what are those green visors that people wear when they're doing taxes? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the green visor tax. You got to do taxes. Green visor. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm doing finances. Bust that out because this is the investing segment, man. This is a new hot off the presses. We're gonna try it out investing section. That we're gonna pick one random toy line. Today we're talking Amiibo, everyone's favorite, and we're just gonna see how they're doing from an investment standpoint. How's that sound to you, Motyl?
It sounds great, man. Yeah, let's get serious for a second.
Let's get serious. All right, so I've linked to both like just the best I could find of like a product listing of current Amiibo, and then some eBay sales. So just like eBay sales, top dollar going descending, and I'm just gonna sift through here. I already sifted through here prior, so I caught some stuff and just some trends, interesting things. What I'm noticing is that a lot of these are still available. A lot of the first run stuff you can pretty much just get, which doesn't bode well for the collectability of this stuff. But Motyl, we collected this at a point in time. Any stories you wish to share before we get deep into this from our collecting days?
Yeah, first of all, I'm sure this is inspired by a text that we received from one of our friends that went overseas to Japan, and he showed us that like Gen 1 stuff is like still on the shelves over there, right?
Yes.
That's crazy,
yes.
dude.
It's very much inspired by him. So thank you. His name is Joe. Thank you, Joe. Get that out there.
But yeah, you asked about stories of collecting this stuff. I remember going so hard on this, and this is like one of the few examples I have of like buying stuff that was purely for profit. Like I really don't normally do that. I haven't done it since. Usually when I buy stuff to flip, it's like I buy it because I like it, and it's like if I can make some coin on it later and I have a double or something, then I'll do it later down the line. But this was purely just like, I need to hold on to this and whatever monetary value it's worth to me, like in the next couple of weeks or whatever, I'm just cashing out. Yeah, I remember, oh my gosh, I got my wife involved to the point where I was like, Toys R Us is receiving a shipment of these this morning and I have to go to work, but you're off. Can you please go at opening once they have everything unloaded? And she was like, yes. So yeah, I was pretty involved in a lot of the early stuff. I can safely say that I have sold all of my stock though. So spoiler alert for anybody if they're wondering, I'm still invested.
That's funny. I don't know if I'm still invested. I really need to check some of my wares, because it's possible I have one of these things sitting around somewhere. I was definitely as deep as you. I remember going to like Toys R Us for like a release. I don't even remember who got released. I want to say it was like Duck Hunt and Rob and Mr. Game & Watch. It was like not a important release, but I was there nonetheless, spending my time there. And I'm glad I got out, because it seems it's a mixed bag. So we'll get into it. What I'm noticing mostly, and this isn't a shocker, it kind of follows the pop vinyl kind of paradigm. Mm-hmm. Where there's a couple rare guys that are like, they were packed in with a game, or they're only available for a little while, or they actually, stopped producing them. And those guys fetch a pretty good price. Like there's Mega Yarn Yoshi. He definitely pops out as one of the most expensive, single ones. And he was packing with a Yoshi game. A couple of the other little Yarn Yoshis, just like different kind of characters like that. There's some like just Japanese characters that I don't really know too well. The Squid guys, man, the Inklings. That 3-pack, like 200 bones for the 3-pack.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yeah, man. Pretty consistently for that 3-pack. Dude, you know what's selling pretty well, which blows my mind, is the Mii fighters. Like the Miis, the 3-pack of Mii fighters?
Oh, no.
From Smash?
Oh, man.
Yeah, dude. Remember how many were littering the shelves at Toys R Us? When we were just like joking about it, we were like, oh, look at those, the Mii fighters. Dude, those are going for like a decent chunk.
Wow.
Like out of all of them, yeah.
I remember seeing that stuff where like, that stuff's such trash, dude. I'm not spending money on that.
Yeah, the 3-pack at least has sold for like over $150. That I've seen a couple times. So there's stuff like that. There's like some rare Zelda stuff in the mix when you get like further down. But then there's just like junk at the bottom. That's just like, people can't get rid of this stuff. And it's all like the original run that you can still get. Like you can go on Nintendo's website and get a lot of the original run. And then if you find yourself in Japan or some of these other stores, you can find them. But yeah, man, it seems like they re-release a lot of these, which is a shame. Like it's a shame from an investing standpoint. I should say that. If you're just a collector, then like that's probably great for you. Yeah, man, it's dicey. Like I don't think I'd be really. I'd be curious to somebody to call in or at least send us an email like, hey, I collect this stuff and it actually does well. Like It just seems real dodgy.
Yeah, I'm looking at the eBay sold listings. Yeah, back in June, the Inkling 3-pack sold for $230.
Yeah, man.
How many times did we go in the store and pass that up? I remember that was kind of like that was at that point we were kind of like the decline. We were just like, I'm kind of like done with this because.
Oh, we got burned. We got burned so many times. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing that so many times. I'm like, I do not want this at all. Wow, $230.
Yeah, that's one of the best selling ones. There's some like super rare. There seems like some Monster Hunter stuff. That was like more the Japanese stuff. Monster Hunter's not huge here in the States, but like that stuff sells pretty well. And like unopened too, like selling pretty well. And then just like some exclusives in there. But all in all, like you can still find like all the villagers. All the Amiibo villagers from Animal Crossing for like pennies. Like you can't get rid of that. I remember that stuff burnt me. I bought a lot of that stuff, and man, I think I did see one character, one of the Animal Crossing characters that seemed to like rise in value a little bit, but it's pretty much potato skins for them.
You bought that big yarn Yoshi, didn't you?
I did. That's the one I kind of want to check on because I had him at one point. And I had a couple of the small yarn Yoshis.
Yeah, I had some of the
smalls. Bought the game specifically. But you got rid of everything, right?
Everything is gone. Yeah.
The Animal Crossing cards, especially sealed packs, tend to sell pretty well from what I'm seeing.
Lord. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but the actual figures are like, not too much. Like, yeah, I guess they're getting up to like $35. That's not. I mean, it's not the worst. They came out a long time ago, so that's a long time investment. But
it is.
I feel good staying away from this still.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely made. I mean, I know I made a lot of money back. Especially one of them sticks out. It's like Captain Falcon. I remember it was like as soon as he was out. What were we paying for these? Like $10 or something like that? Like 15?
I think they were going for 13, but you could get them for 10 pretty easy. Yeah.
I remember holding on to some Captain Falcons, and it's just like, a week goes by, and I remember selling for like $40 or $50 a pop. I was like, that's pretty good. Like, I was happy with that.
Yeah, he's going for about like 20. Let's see, a lot of these have shipping. Maybe like 35.
All right, yeah. Then
sealed.
Made out like a bandit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, here's like 25. Yeah, he's like 30. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely find him for cheaper than that. Yeah, like some of the guys that could like Pac-Man. Oh, actually, the 3-pack of Duck Hunt, I saw.
I remember that. Yeah,
that 3-pack sold pretty high. I can't. Or the Mii fighters. I can't believe that sells for so much.
That's horrible. What about the? I remember I'm still mad at you that you made me pass on that trainer.
Oh, Wii Fit trainer. Yeah. She's hot garbage. She's not worth anything. Yeah, she's available. You can still buy her.
Oh man, that's crazy. I remember she was like one of like the rarest ones.
Yeah, let's see. She's going for like $30 new, but you can still buy her. So like I don't know what those. Maybe that's more like international buyers are buying those.
I am dying that those. I'm looking at the Mii fighters now, dude. That is hysterical.
Yeah, right.
I remember I couldn't get further away from them as soon as I saw them in the store.
I remember I had one and I was just like, why do I own this? It was like I couldn't give that thing away when I had it. For real. I was like posting it for like $10 and like no one wanted that thing. And now here it is, like $150. They're just selling like hotcakes, $150, $130. Wow. Even open, $90 open. Like why?
It's such junk.
Oh man, I mean, I guess they're still like, I don't even know if they're still super supporting. I haven't heard Nintendo drop the name Amiibo in a long time, so I know they're still releasing them, but it definitely doesn't have the push that it once had.
It's funny though, dude. I mean, you put this on, I'm just like, yeah, man. Simpler times. Just what are we doing on Saturday? Let's hit Target. Let's hit all our usual spots and go buy Amiibos. Oh my gosh,
those were the days. They're coming back, though. They're coming back. Now that I have boys. And that's what I did today. I went to Target and we just went around the toy aisle. Not the same, but it was still a good time.
Yeah, just buying this stuff and thinking about how I can, like, tell my wife, like, what do I... Yeah, we did some market research. These Mii fighters should be selling $200 in 10 years.
Yeah, man. We're doing the work now, so clean up later. All right, well, definitely write in toytalkguys@gmail.com. I'm going to try to do this segment every cast, and let me know if you want us to look into anything. Like, I'm going to try to go deep into stuff that we don't really know about or have talked about on the cursory, but maybe haven't gone deep on what it looks like from an investing standpoint. So
Cool, man.
I can't take it anymore! What are you slipping up there?
In Little Tykes World, anyone can have a driver's license, as long as your feet touch the ground. Over and out.
Oh man, I'm gonna be late again.
All right, Strick. Hail to the king, baby. Hail to the king. Yeah, man. We have brought Little Tykes onto the cast.
Oh, yeah.
And what more iconic thing could we be talking about from Little Tykes? None other than the Cozy Coupe.
Everyone's favorite car.
Everybody's favorite car. Maybe people don't know it by name, so I'll do my best to describe it. It's the small, compact, or economy car, whatever have you, red sedan with the black wheels, white rims, and the iconic banana yellow top.
That top.
That's what we are talking about, man. We got to break this down a little bit because I find myself now as a parent somewhat in the market for this. I brought it on here because of that reason, but then also I was in your garage not too long ago and I did notice a version of this in your garage.
Oh, yeah.
So I figured you'd have some good input here for me.
I can help out. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I did link to it for anybody following along the Little Tykes websites. And yes, they do have a whole bunch of varieties to choose from.
So many.
And you can almost get lost with how many there are. Obviously, my mind goes to, I want to just get the traditional Cozy Coupe. I need a daily driver is what I need. I don't need anything fancy. I don't need to impress anybody. There's no clients I need to impress. I'm looking for the daily driver, and I think the Cozy Coupe is the answer. So talk to me about, what you have going on or, your opinions on the Cozy Coupe in general, first of all.
I was a Cozy Coupe kid, and that's definitely been redesigned a bit, but it's still got that iconic, look. When the time came for us to get one, we were like, of course, we're going to get a Cozy Coupe. And we took the same path. We said, all right, let's get just the old Origi, and he did as well. He was a great Cozy Coupe. My other son came along, and I don't know what really made us go this direction, but we saw the ice cream Cozy Coupe, the ice cream Cozy truck, excuse me, and we were like, we just got to have that boy. So we bought him maybe a couple of years after our original purchase, and then we had two Cozy Coupes hanging around, and they were quite big and they take up a lot of room. So one of them had to go, and the Origi. I wish I knew this because I would have just given you our original.
Oh, man. That's all right. I'm not worried about it because I think there are exactly 1 billion parents looking to give one of these away.
Oh, yeah. It's right next to the basketball hoop in everyone's driveway is a nice little sunburnt Cozy Coupe. But yeah, so one's at my parents' house. It parks there rent-free. And then we have the ice cream truck, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool little truck.
Here's the thing about these new Cozy Coupes. I'm all about I'm of the mindset of just like, you know what? I really want to just like plunk down the money and buy a brand new car.
Right.
But the brand new ones, I'm just like, I don't want a face on these things, man. I don't want the car to have like that kind of a personality.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I want like the vintage stuff where it's just had like a grill and headlights. Like, am I crazy?
No. That's fair, man. I'm actually like looking up the old look to remind myself what it looked like because I'm so used to the new look. I guess it's changed a little bit over the years.
From some of the stuff that I've read, you have the option of being able to remove the headlights, which are the eyes.
Yeah, there's stickers.
Well, you're still left with that smiling face.
That's a sticker too. I mean, you don't have to put that on there if you don't want to.
But we all know.
Yeah, we all know that it's not the OG. I'm looking at the OG. I mean, that's straight sedan, dude.
Right?
They weren't messing around. I do like that look.
Yeah, man. That's straight up compact economy right there.
So I don't know if the old one had the floor that you could take in and out.
No.
That's something.
Are you kidding me? No.
Did it have a floor?
Of course not. No, it had just
okay.
access to the ground. Your Fred Flintstone feet.
So that is a feature that we use often because our littlest can't quite reach his feet to the ground, and then our oldest that's the only way that he can play with it. So that thing comes in and out pretty often. So that's usable.
Let me tell you something about that. I think every single kid just about misses that age of where you can actually appropriately fit in it and drive it the way it's supposed to be driven. I think
yeah, it's a short window. It's a short window of time.
Oh my gosh.
They're not easy to maneuver. Like even, going up a hill, forget it. Most of the time ours is just parked and the kids are just like getting in and out of it and that's it.
Yeah, you talk about going up a hill, talk about going down a hill. You're just praying.
Oh. Yeah, well at least that, like my youngest son can kind of like tiptoe his little actually my oldest son's doing that. He's tiptoeing his little toes and he's just kind of like riding, gravity down the hill. But as soon as you get flat, it's just like it is effort to like get yourself moving.
Yeah.
It's not easy to drive.
When it got to a point where I was in like, second or third grade where I'm obviously grown out of this, but you would see it at like neighbor picnics or whatever, where it's like we're all just running around outside and there it is. I'm like, I'd love to drive something like that, but I don't, and then you try to force yourself into it and you don't fit. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I would love to like, be in there after, of course you brush off the puddle of water that has accumulated on the seats.
Yeah.
From it being outside. Yeah. I just feel like there's that perfect age that you just, but I was never there. I never had one at the appropriate age where I was just like, I can comfortably fit in there and drive this thing around.
Yeah. Like even my oldest, he's 4 and he's kind of growing out of it. Like it's still not easy for him to maneuver. So it's funny because they're not rated very high on this website. I don't like Little Tikes website. They're rated pretty low. I will say they were a pain to put together.
Yeah.
Both of them like were nightmare. I didn't even my father-in-law put them together and he was just like, he was just like telling it like a horror story when he had to put it together. And like our caps are the wrong color but that's another story. But the ice cream truck's pretty cool. So I can talk about that for like a hot second. Sure. There's a bunch of them. I feel like that's maybe the most tricked out from the original. It has a nice little ice cream cone on the top, which is great because you're constantly pushing your kid in this thing, and that's just a very nice, like at least I'm about 6 foot level of holding something because the bar is just too low. The little handle on the back is too low, and I'm just like hunched over. So that little ice cream cone does the difference. So that's a plus for that thing. Mm. Then you got a little song that plays every time it moves. Kind of a negative on the song. But the kids love it. That's great for the kids. And then there's like a little ice cream kind of like ice cooler box in the back. It's just a little like flappy plastic lid in the back. And like just a little like credit card machine comes with a cone and stuff. So they add a little extra there.
Oh my gosh. How's the visibility on that? Like are there any blind spots?
I mean, it's blind spots all around. Like you're not seeing.
I got to take that into account.
But I mean, your A pillars. I mean, on this thing, your A pillars they have like kind of windows in them, so you get a little bit of sight from that way.
Okay,
dude, all the kids in our neighborhood love this thing, the ice cream one, and it's just parked in our grass, and the kids are just like playing ice cream truck out the side of it, and that's all it does. Like it doesn't move, so it might as well be a stationary ice cream truck, is what I'm saying.
Okay, that's cool.
Still good. I'm glad we purchased it.
Compare that to like the original, where it has the trunk space where I don't know what you would stow in the trunk of the original, but mainly it was like weeds and dirt.
Yeah, of course.
But
like clippings and some little mulch in there.
Yeah, like the onion grass, you just pull like a big chunk of onion grass up with all the dirt in it, you just plop it in there. Then you just try and sell it to whoever you see.
Just selling it. So they did have I'm just looking up vintage cozy coupes, and at a point they had a different face. So this face has slowly evolved. Even the old one, I don't know, maybe a little blank stare. I don't know if I quite like the old face versus the new one, but I'm a big fan of the oldest, like the most vintage looking one.
Okay. I was going to say this one is giving me Brave Little Toaster vibes in the junkyard scene.
Oh yeah, definitely in the junkyard scene.
Yeah. But so I don't know. I don't know if this conversation has moved the needle for me to like go for like a newer one. I'm really thinking I'm gonna try and find like a nice, cleaner vintage one.
It seems like they're pretty available for not that expensive.
Yeah, I feel like as a parent now, I know I love to just give stuff away. Mm-hmm. So if somebody has something available, they might just be willing to just give it away.
I was gonna ask you on the just the topic of ride-ons. Where are you guys at with just like car ride-on things in general? Would this be your first purchase, or do you have anything going?
No, we have a bike that he's kind of uninterested in, and then we also have this Power Wheels thing that was gifted to us by one of our neighbors.
Okay.
He drove in it once, my 3-year-old, and he kind of liked it, but then I got my hands on the remote to like steer him a little bit.
Yeah.
And that like freaked him out, and now he doesn't want to ride it anymore.
Oh.
So this is like something where I'm considering. It's like, okay, I almost feel like he's too big for this though. But then I have my other son where I'm just like, no, well then he can grow into it. So
I agree with you. I think your second's going to get more use out of it. That's funny you say it. I kind of did the same thing with my oldest son with the remote control ride-on. I freaked him out. But then I found out you can just put it in park. So I let him drive, and then anytime he got close to something, I just threw him in park real quick, like it was driver's ed. You know, when you got like the driving teacher as the brake pedal on their side. Kind of like that way, and he learned to drive pretty well. Like he can rip around the neighborhood in that thing, and I don't really have to worry about him driving in the street, which is like he kind of knows how to drive a car almost. So I recommend that if you can get it back in it, just using that park button as much as you can.
Sick.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, dude, the Cozy Coupe, man, I feel like it needed, its debut. This thing is, I don't know how many units have been sold, but it's like one of the most popular toys of all time. I think it's like in the Smithsonian or something. It's iconic. It had to be talked about.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it needed a place on this cast. Episode 75. Why not?
Collection updates. How was that, dude?
I love that, dude. Seriously.
Can you work with that? Yeah, you can work with that?
Yes, dude. I love that. That was changing it up. I liked it.
Sweet. That was good to get a little Henson vibe in there. I was going for a little. We've been watching a lot of Muppet Babies, so I was trying to get some like Muppet Baby action in there. Quick aside on Muppet Babies, you can't watch the 80s series at all. So you gotta have it on VHS. You gotta have it on DVD. Can't watch it on streaming.
Oh, I didn't know that. You couldn't stream it anywhere. Interesting.
Yeah, apparently all the the cutscenes they do is just like a legal nightmare in terms of like getting. But like on our nobody cares about this, but because we've been watching it and our TV has like a voice search, my son is like Muppet Babies, and he looks for it. And it always pops up the 80s series, which isn't available anywhere. It just tells you about it. And he's just like, what is this? Get this off of here. He just like despises it. I'm like, dude, that's like the OG, man. Like, have some respect. And he's just like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants that trash. just pooping on my childhood. Anyway, what I've got going on, collection updates, and nothing too exciting. I just want to talk a little bit about cleaning up and combining the collection, man. Everyone's favorite words, cleaning up and combining. Yeah, it is. It's kind of a sad state of affairs in terms of the Strick collection. Everything's in boxes. It's in storage. Nothing's really out. The kids' stuff is everywhere, and all my stuff's Lego. So now the boys' Lego collection is just engulfing mine. It's just taking over, and I'm at a point where I'm like, all right, if I want to be serious about collecting this stuff, like I need a system. I need a system of like where the Lego is. Everything's got to be pieced out by brick and. Like, I'm just going to be turning into one of those shops where, like, the dad's got, like, 50 bins going on and, like, everything's just, like, nicely, neatly sorted. So that's my future I'm headed towards. And it's just a lot of, like, breaking stuff down right now and getting it pieced out, which is, like, every Lego collector's worst night. It's, like, every time I'm doing it, I'm just like, do I really want to collect this stuff? Wow. It's so much work.
Are you going to have, like, an Excel sheet, like, inventory?
It's funny. So I work with a guy that did that. And when I saw him do it, I was just like, God, that is so much work. Why would you do that? I don't think I'm going to get that to that level. I'm sure there's benefits there. And like, you can look at it and be like, oh, I can build this set or I know exactly what I have. I just want stuff a little organized so I can be like, all right, we're trying to put this thing together that broke. Like, I need this piece. Like, let me go to this drawer. I have like 100 of those pieces. Here we go. It doesn't even need to be the right color. Like, there it is. It's just in there and now it's functional. Okay. So that's because these, like, they love playing with Lego. Like, I've told you, I've sent you pictures where they're just like, hunkering down with some Lego, and I'm in heaven. But stuff gets broken instantly. Like, as soon as it's built, it's just broken, and I do my best to put it together. But everything's just in pieces after like a week, and I just need to be able to like quickly triage and put everything back together because they're like, it's not working. It's not, it just turns into like frustration, which I get. Like, it's frustrating, especially they're too young to be playing with it. They're like 4 and 2, not even 2, and they're like playing with my collect the modular buildings and stuff, and they're just like ripping those apart. So that was like the other thing I was going to bring up, and I've just been rambling, but I wanted to ask you, like, have you started to mix your stuff with your son's stuff at all? Because I feel like I'm at the point where I'm just like, it's all our stuff at this point.
Ooh,
like,
no. I have not gotten there. I have purchased him stuff that is in my collection, like beater versions of it, so he can just like toss them around. Like, I got him like the whole like first run of vinyl figures of Power Rangers. He's got a lot of Power Rangers action figures that are just like, not worth anything, and he can just like totally beat them up and play with them, which is they're toys they're meant to be played with. So that's how I'm kind of like integrating it. And then if he gets interested in Power Rangers a lot more, I'll expand the collection. But other than that, he basically doesn't even know my office exists. That house is all of my toys.
Dude, I'm so curious how long you can keep that going.
It's gonna blow his mind. I keep the door locked.
All right, well that helps.
But yeah, he's like tried to get into it before, but he's seen it before, but like with stuff covered up when he was little, and he just understands that it's like, oh, it's an office.
It's daddy space.
He doesn't he doesn't come into it. So it will. Yeah, I cannot wait to see his face when he sees what I have going on in here.
Do you know at what age, or are you just like gonna feel it out with him, like when he's ready?
I'm definitely
in?
feeling it out. There's no set age.
Okay.
Because he's not gonna be able to fathom like what's going on in here. Like his mind is going to explode.
That's because I don't even know if like my boys really understand that I collect toys.
Yeah.
Like they just assume everything's theirs. So like when they see like my stuff, they're like, oh well, just bring that down and let's play with it.
Of course.
Like, so yep. Like what I was gonna say is I had my display stuff in the basement. Like my stuff went from like a really nice dedicated room to like just a shelf in a basement to like where I'm and like even less and less space with each passing month as their stuff takes over. So I'm like. I'm just trying to rethink of like how I want to display everything. Like it'll probably be a mixture of their stuff and my stuff, but I pretty much have to be prepared with like anything that I'm putting up, unless I'm like 100% saying like, no, that cannot be touched. Like I got to just be ready for it to be touched and destroyed and pieces all over the floor. Yeah. And just be ready to like be able to put stuff back together. So that's where I'm at. I'm like cleaning up. I've actually mixed their Lego with my Lego at this point. So like we're just in it.
How are you not like passing out on the floor?
Dude, I know. Like me pre-kids, I'd be like, like I cannot. But I'm just like, something's got to give. Like if I want to, I'm not enjoying any of my collection. And I'm like, I should be able to now, like the stuff that I was saving and like, oh, just like, I can't wait to have a son to build this with or a kid to build this with. I'm like, well, the time is now. I'm not touching any of it because I'm not set up to do it. I'm not set up to like build and break down and then build again. So that's the focus now. I'm like, I'm not touching anything. I'm not trying to buy anything until I just get everything cleaned up and like and in a good spot. So that's gonna be the next couple casts for me. But I actually do have a collection update because you did come up and you gave me a birthday present, which you've been hanging on to for a while. I think it was like over a year, right? You bought that for me the previous year.
I was hanging on to it for as long as we were going to do the gift exchange for.
Sweet.
And it never happened in like the past 2 or 3 years. We did not do the gift exchange on the cast. And I've just been holding on to that thing. So I want to make sure you got it.
Well, side note, we got to bring the gift exchange back for this year, 100%. And
yes, absolutely.
Motyl just keeps filling in my first my Series 1 collectible minifigures in package, sealed. I'm doing a bad job of keeping track of who I've got and who you gave me.
I have it documented. Don't worry.
All right, perfect. I know you. Who did you give me this time?
The skateboarder that's been sitting in my desk for like 2 or 3 years.
He's in with his own. He's in with the rest of the guys.
Good.
Eating up space in my parents' basement. So that's where he's at. Sealed for another day. Anyway, that's what I got going. What do you got going, Motyl?
All right. So I did kind of tease this on the last cast from what I remember. And here we go. I'm delivering on the tease.
Oh, this was your vasectomy tease.
Yes, I had my. Yes. For those who did not listen to episode 74, I had my vasectomy, and I wanted to just commemorate. I don't know. I guess commemorate's the right word, but
mark the moment.
Memorialize the moment of me.
Remember it forever.
Being on the operating table and having something taken away from me. So I was just like on eBay, because for those of you who are not familiar with the procedure, you're basically like, you want to try to distract yourself as much as possible. I had my phone that I was just like looking at, and I had something in my eBay cart where I'm just like, you know what? I deserve this. So I hit the buy it now, and I picked up a VHS copy of Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toy Maker.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, I'll be honest with you, I've got something else to talk about in collection updates, so I'm not going to get into like the total nitty-gritty of this purchase, but it was just kind of on my list of something that I wanted to get, because this cover was so memorable for me back when Hollywood Video and Blockbuster were around and you would meander down the horror aisle. I would always see this cover facing out. I'm like, what is going on there? Like, as a kid, I'm like, what? It's because for those who don't have eyes on it, this cover, it's basically like a closet that has opened up in a kid's room, and it's got all of these stuffed animals, and they're all just like, all their eyes are glowing, and they just have this like menacing stare, and this like poor little innocent child just sitting in the middle of all of it. It always like freaked me out. And I couldn't ever look away. I always like sought this out, like as a kid when I walked down those aisles. So I wanted to have it. Just for the record, I've seen the movie several times. It's horrible. I don't recommend anybody go see it. But the VHS, that stuck out to me, man. I had to pick it up. And just the fact that it's a 5th installment of some crappy horror franchise, and it doesn't even try to hide it. It's like, at this point, I feel like in around 4 or 5, horror franchises sort of get creative, and they're just like Silent Night, Deadly Night, Aftermath, or something where they don't have to say like, yeah, this is number 5. I feel like that naming stuff went out with like Friday the 13th. That in and itself is pretty cool and sticks out to me. So it's a terrible name, a terrible movie. Love the cover. Had to have the VHS.
I feel like we watched... Yeah, this cover looks familiar to me. I feel like we did watch this one. I remember watching the original.
Yes.
Just the first one. And I remember my wife actually liking that movie a little bit. Like, of all the crappy horror movies that we watched, that one was the one where she was like, oh yeah, that wasn't bad. I actually kind of like that one. I was like, whoa, really? So that's what stands out to me for this guy.
So for anybody that's going in for a vasectomy, definitely try and get a copy of Silent Night, Deadly Night 5.
5. It's got to be the 5th one.
While it's going on. And then we'll have something to talk about it if I ever meet you at a convention or something.
Yeah. Something to tie you together.
But
it's a nice suggestion.
So,
is this one about Christmas at all? It doesn't look it.
Yeah. I am not even going to try to explain it. But yeah, it has to do with like a toy store and Christmas presents that kill people. It's terrible. Absolutely horrible.
Okay.
Very, unwatchable. Anyway, part 2, which I think this is kind of trumping the collection update I had planned, but this just dropped recently, like in the past couple of days, and we gotta discuss the news on here, man. We are so topical. We always have our finger on the pulse.
Always.
And yeah, man, Redbox, they are now bankrupt. Chapter 7, they filed Chapter 7. That's when they start liquidating all their assets and all that. So they are done. That is it. There's no saving it. No buyout. They are just done.
Thrown in the towel.
Yeah, man. The streaming service is down.
I didn't even know they had a streaming service.
Yeah, it's funny. It's on our bedroom TV. We have this Vizio TV that has like the button next to like Netflix and Hulu. It's like Redbox. It's like
it's like, what are you trying to do, Redbox?
Now that button is just, you can click it all day long and nothing's gonna happen.
Oh, don't you love that?
And then they also have a streaming service, Crackle, which I wasn't aware of.
Oh, so, I know Crackle.
Okay, it's like a Tubi kind of, where it's like you don't pay for it, it's just ads.
They're on my remote, so that's good. That'll be gone.
Good. That's gonna be gone.
All right, sweet.
But the important news here, dude, the kiosks, they're gonna be shutting down. How sad is that?
I guess there's I haven't seen a kiosk in I don't know how long.
Okay, well they're kind of scattered all around where I'm at.
Okay.
And I have checked them out. Not like in recent weeks, but like I have like looked at them just like, oh yeah, like that's so cool that's, you know, still an option to like a $1, $2 rental, whatever it was, for a night. I mean, obviously now you have better options available to you. I mean, clearly, but back in the day when Redbox first dropped, that was awesome. Like, that was so cool. I was like, are you kidding me? Because they were like dollar rentals back then. I was like, wow,
yeah, man, it was so cheap.
$1 for a DVD? Like, that's crazy. So, like, I definitely have so much nostalgia for this. It's crazy that it's been like 2 decades that this company's been around, and they are finally just going away. So, you might ask, well, what's the collection update of this? Well, the kiosks, apparently, some are still kind of working, and there's not really a definitive date as of this recording where they will actually all be officially shut down. So, the one at my Walgreens, actually, the one at the grocery store I went to first, as soon as this dropped, I told my wife, she was like, oh, yeah, that's sad. And I was like, yeah, we should probably, like, try to go. She was like, haha, yeah. And then later after dinner, I was like, so I'm probably going to go to, like, check out the kiosk. She was like, oh, so you were being serious? I was like, yeah, we need to go check out the situation. So I went to the grocery store, and they have one of those where it's like there's 2 different kiosks, you know, an A and a B. So, because, you know, back in the day, you didn't want to be, like, you know, having big lines there. You needed...
Oh, yeah. You don't want to be hogging the box.
Exactly. You don't want to hog. I checked both of them out, and I panicked because they were both shut down. And I knew they were active from like a couple of months ago. They were active. So I was like, oh no, I missed it already. They're already shut down. So I drove down the street to the Walgreens where I knew they had one as well. And lo and behold, the B one was not working, but the A one, that was still turned on. I was like, yes. So I started thumbing through it, and I definitely picked out a whole bunch of horror movies that they had. Now, just to be clear, for those of you who haven't rented anything from there in a while, yes, you as of today, you can still rent them. And I was just like, oh yeah, in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm renting DVDs because, you know, if they shut down, whatever. But their policy is like, it's going to charge you for however many days after. It's like, I don't know, 17, 20 days or whatever it is. It's going to charge you that daily amount. So I was just like, oh boy, I didn't even think about that. But I did rent one. I rented 2, actually. I rented Jordan Peele's Us, because I hadn't seen it. It's from like 2019, but I haven't seen it.
Okay.
So I did rent that the day that all this stuff was dropping. And then my wife and I, we got a couple of cocktails, and we did sit down and have movie night and just watch that DVD. And then the next day, I brought it back, and the kiosk was still on. So I returned the movie. It was pretty cool. I was just like, yeah, man, I'm pouring one out for physical media rentals, man. It's a bygone era now at this point.
It's the end.
But the collection update, still, I haven't gotten to that. You can, for those of you who don't know, you can buy the movies at that kiosk.
Really?
Yeah, there's an option that you can just buy the movie right out. They were only
who would want to do
like
that?
$3 or $4 a piece.
Okay.
So I was like, yeah, dude. What? Of course I'm gonna do that. That's a much cleaner way than just like renting it and then hoping that, you know, it shuts down and nobody asks me to pay. So yeah, I'll pay a couple extra bucks, and I bought, let's see, I have them all here. I bought 4 movies out of there, all kind of like obscure horror stuff. But I mean, for the record, I guess I'll read them. I bought Wicked Games. I bought The Lair. I bought The Deep Ones, and most notably, I bought a Blu-ray of Jeepers Creepers Reborn, aka Jeepers Creepers Part 4, I believe.
Oh my god, I had no idea that it had a Part 4.
Yeah, me neither. Well, actually, that's a lie. I did know about it, but we did sit down and watch it, and it's terrible. Absolutely horrible. It's so bad. It looks like nothing like the original 2. The first 2 were so good. He looks like...
Oh, the first one is so good.
They really did him up well. The killer.
I had so many nightmares from that guy,
dude. The thing here is, I wanted to buy him for the rental Redbox containers. I had to have them.
Had to,
man. So I do have 4 discs. Very happy to own those. Because, who knows when the kiosks are all going to officially shut off. So I am just like, on my drives home from work, I have been like checking out kiosks. Some are turned on, some are not. There was the one at my local Walmart is still turned on, but like the screen is frozen. So like updates or these things haven't been maintained because a lot of these movies are super old that are still in them. So they apparently have been on the decline for months to years. I haven't really kept up with the stories up until now, where it's like there's apparently like thousands of people getting laid off and they like haven't even been getting paid for months or whatever it was. So it's all very bad.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, just for my own sake, man, I had to grab some DVDs just because it is marking the official end of the renting of physical media, which was such a huge part of my life. Yeah, man. Pour one out.
I love that you did that. Your wife's like, oh, you were serious. You were being serious. I would have had the same reaction to you. If we were like in college and you're like, dude, we got to get to the Redbox. I'd be like, are you joking? I'm not headed there.
Oh my gosh. I had to, man. I had to rent physical media one last time. I know there's people out there that like, I guess like small mom and pop shops probably still do something like this in some areas, but the official byproduct of Blockbuster and Netflix wars was like Redbox. And now they are just... that whole thing is just gone. It's crazy. I mean, it's kind of like mind-blowing. It's funny, I actually told somebody in the neighborhood, just making conversation, where I was like, dude, yeah, like, Redbox, it's going out of business. Like, they're done. They're closing up shop. They're just like, Redbox is still in business?
That was my reaction when I saw it. I was like, oh, yeah. Dang. They had their moment in the sun, for sure. I wanted to share... 2 just like not even Redbox memories, but just 2 things that were memorable about Redbox for me. One was you'd always get there and there'd be like some person in the front of you, in the front of the line, like have no idea what they wanted to watch.
Oh, I know.
And they were just like perusing, just like some grandma that's just like, oh, we saw that one. And just like, and they're on like page 6 and you're like, oh, we're gonna be here all night. And then so there was that. That was kind of a negative for it.
And then the flip side of that is like there's people behind you.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, oh,
who are just like tapping their foot like, I want my, copy of whatever that just came out.
All I gotta
today.
do is return this. I'm not even gonna rent another one. And you're just
and the returns. The whole thing. It was like pretty cool tech when you're just like, I'll just put that in and then I'm done. Like it was definitely groundbreaking at the time. For me,
yeah, but I've been burned on it so many times where it's like the disc is like total crap.
Oh yeah,
I remember
so many times you get like a crap disc.
You came up from wherever it was. This was post college, and you made your way up. And I remember I got all this beer, and I was like, and I rented Evil Bong 3, the Return of Bong, whatever it was. And I was like, here we go, man. I rented it. And I looked at the back of the disc, and it's totally fried. Absolutely scorched. I'm like, no.
Someone just rubbed it across the ground, yeah. The other memory was you would go, and whatever would be in theaters, like, I can't think of a good example, but it would be like, Jaws was in theaters or something. Just make it up. Like some big movie. And it would be like, Shark Attack 5. Like every knockoff version of that movie they could find was in the box.
Oh yeah.
If they couldn't get it, and like everybody's guilty of that, but I just remember that. But like who gets tricked by that when it's like oh, is that the movie that so and so wanted about the shark? And then it's like you get home and you have some B-rate movie. So I always remember that.
You're describing so much of my life, dude.
But there's definitely. It had its moment in the sun. Like I remember distinctly, I would be like on their website and just like perusing, like, oh, when's that new release coming out? Like it was my way to watch new releases because it was like $1 or like $2 to get the Blu-ray, and you were just like, I can watch a movie in a day and return it. Like absolutely, I'll just get it at that night, and then like $2 later, I've watched that brand new release, and I don't have to spend like $15 or whatever at the store on it. So it had its moment, but yeah, it was a fleeting moment. Like the days of streaming back then, it was like you had Netflix, but it was just like old movie. They had no originals or like hardly any, and it was just old movies. And I was just like, who would get Netflix over Redbox? I was just like, who in their right mind would be whenever somebody was like, oh, well, I have Netflix, I just stream movies. I'm like, what is on Netflix? Like just old garbage. I'm like, dude, get to the box and get the real stuff. Get the stuff that just came out. Like 2, 3. It was even delayed. Like I remember just like counting the months and just like, oh, in February that one's gonna be out. Like let me earmark it, and then that's what I'm gonna watch in February. But it was a movie that was like out in theaters, like way before.
Yeah, but you felt like you were pulling one over because it's only $1.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just like they're giving movies away. Like, does anyone know what's happening? Yeah, poor Redbox.
I know, man.
Fading technologies.
It stinks, and I'm gonna have to explain this stuff to my sons. Like, hey.
Well, at least you'll have the the collateral, the stuff to show and be like, this was it. This was the disc.
Exactly.
And then you have to mime everything else with the machine, but at least they'll kind of get it.
Exactly. I poured my heart and soul into that collection update, man. It's a tough time. I'm going through a tough time right now.
That was a good one. Appreciate you bringing it on. All right, that's going to do it for us today. If you'd like to stay up to date on all things Toy Talk Guys, be sure to follow us on social channels, definitely on YouTube. Just search for the Toy Talk Guys on any of those channels. Find our other smaller channels you can watch. Leave us a 5-star review, like we said, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you can leave a review. Tell a friend about the show. And write in toytalkguys@gmail.com about anything you want us to talk about on the cast. Definitely write in. Have a question, feel free to ask it. Thanks for listening. We hope to see you guys again next time.